Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 16 of Joe and Matty Talk New York Sports. We're finally back. I set the team back a little bit. Had work and school
Yeah, had
and
some technical
trip.
difficulties, if you recall, when my Wi-Fi just canceled the show in the middle of the show 3 times earlier in the
Yeah.
week. But all that is gone. Maddie you got to go down to South Carolina this weekend, see some football. How was it?
Yeah, it was good. People know South Carolina's not ranked, and they didn't play a ranked team. That was the loudest sporting event I've ever been to in my life.
Well,
They
that's good.
they're louder than a playoff hockey. It was loud. Louder than a Clemson game. It was loud. Their fans.
Wow, that's crazy.
It was really loud, and it. I love college football so much. I don't want to bash on the NFL, but I do think college football has a little energetic animal. It's a little bit of a more energetic
In
animal
this
than
in the stadium for sure. Speaking of college football, I have been crushing it on my college picks, which you guys could see on our Instagram page. But yeah, I think I was 20-2 2 weeks ago, 14-5 or something around that neighborhood this week. Pretty good. NFL, not so good.
no.
There's some- Let's get right into the nightmare, Matty. We know we were going to go Yankees first, as they're on right now playing Toronto. But let's get right into the Giants because it's been eating at me. Ugh, I haven't been able to watch replays. I haven't read articles about it. Stinks. 0-3 to lose to the Falcons.
John Mara kicking a trash can. I love that. That makes me very happy because they lied. That's one. Let's start out there. They lied. The coaching staff, the franchise lied. They said this team was ready to be a playoff caliber team coming into the regular season, and
Yeah,
they're
but
clearly
that's all
not.
lip service.
And but also, what gets me mad at the end of the day is you look Blake Martinez. Okay, season-ending injury. And I know people can get injured in the preseason, but this is why you play the preseason. It's in every sport. Last year, hockey didn't have a
Yeah,
preseason, and the Rangers had many players that were just behind the speed of the game. They were not catching up. They were not performing the same way. And that's I've seen many players who did not play who are not having the best starts of the season. I know it's just an iffy, like it's a guess. Maybe they do play better if they play preseason or not, but it's something that toggles in my head a little bit because I see these guys did not play and didn't get even any snaps in the
uh,
preseason, and they look tired, they look behind.
well,
That makes me a little angry, but that's not really the big problem.
it's. I think there's so many things that never did you think you'd walk into the game 3 of the Giants season and go, Daniel Jones is playing good, and they're 0-3. It's the exact opposite that everybody said coming into it. Everyone's defense is a given. Now, I know, at least in the papers around here, people are criticizing the Giants' defense a lot. Bottom line is they only gave up 17 points in an NFL that's all passing. Falcons are not a great team, but it wasn't like they were a disaster.
Yeah,
What was a disaster is when they had to make the stops, they
they
didn't.
don't do it.
They
Yeah,
gave up a 75-yard drive 2 games in a row.
yep.
Adoree Jackson dropping an easy interception in the end zone that is just devastating to morale. But
Yeah.
my biggest problem is still the offense. I thought the offensive line, for the dire straits it's in, losing 2 guys already, did a pretty good job. Andrew Thomas has
They're
been
not.
very
They're
good.
really not the worst thing
They're
about this.
not the
Like they're not.
storyline at all. Yeah, everything that people predicted, offensive line being the story, the defense not being the story, Daniel Jones being bad, but he has all the weapons. The weapons have not been effective.
Kenny
They're down.
Galladay has surely not been effective. He's gotten
Yes,
catches, but
he's got hip injury. Slayton's out with a hamstring. Shepard's out with a hamstring. Ingram is terrible. They should trade him.
he is
He is
terrible.
done as a Giant. He got booed. He just drops and fumbles too many balls. He's the rookie Daniel Jones out there. All this hype and he just fumbles it out. He's got to go. And I'm sorry, Jason Garrett's play calling stinks. 2 weeks ago against the Redskins, a great defense line. Read option Daniel Jones runs for almost 100 yards.
Jason
Where
Garrett
that?
had a great game against Washington, but
Yeah, where were any of those calls against a weaker Atlanta D? I mean, how about Daniel Jones also running over Brady Garrett for the 2-point conversion to just muscle him into the end zone? But the play calling stinks. You can't score 17 points in the NFL or 14 and expect to win any games anymore unless you're playing the Jets.
Yeah, well, I hate to break it to a lot of Giants fans. I'm a very positive person outside of sports. I'm very pessimistic when it comes to sports. I don't have any faith in any of my teams. I hope they do well, but I always think they're going to lose. And whatever the Giants try to fix, it won't work. I'm going to tell you why, because this team, whatever they're doing, doesn't work. It doesn't, it's not, you can't fix it. Daniel Jones, yeah, he's playing good, but the offense, it doesn't work because you know why? It's not winning games. And when push comes to shove, you're not winning it. We're not out here to see Daniel Jones play well, but then lose. We rather see a win
No.
and him play terrible.
Yeah,
And
100%.
so I hate to put.
The
I'm not putting
roster's
this
not
completely
good.
on Jones. I'm not putting it completely on Jones. I'm putting it on a lot of the offense. But what stinks is even with Jones playing well, I think you still have to replace him and you have to replace the offense because it's not good. It's not
Well,
leading
you
to
can't.
wins,
That's not gonna. They spent
but it
all
doesn't
this,
work.
but they spent all this money in the offseason. So yes, you could get rid of players, but you're not going to. They signed Shepard, they signed Galladay. You drafted a rookie who saw 2 catches last week. So the receivers, they're not going to probably change. Evan Ingram should be gone. I can't believe we're talking about next year already after 3 games, but Evan Ingram should be gone. The offensive line that Gettleman said he's going to fix the whole time. Have they really addressed it? No. Is it dominating up front? No. We're happy with bare minimum. I mean, there was plays Daniel Jones had a guy just driving into him right down the middle.
Yeah.
The officiating has not helped them at all. And some bad game time decisions by Joe Judge, like making bad clock management, using multiple timeouts that were turned out to be completely ineffective.
Yeah.
I don't think you
Yeah.
have to burn it to the ground, but you
A big
Gettleman needs to
change.
go. You need a different depth. There's no depth on this
You
roster.
you need a morale changer, and I think you built your offense around Saquon. That's clearly not working, whether healthy or not,
Well,
because he hasn't
that's
been good since his rookie year. And
and you're
two,
gonna have to be forced to make the decision in the offseason to pay him or not.
yeah, and I think it's time to say goodbye to Joe Judge. And I'll tell you why, because
That's the most
this
ridiculous
guy's
thing. It's in season 2.
he says the right things. He's like, we need to do this. Yes, you're right, but you don't do that. You don't execute what you
He's
need
not
to
out
do
there
better
on
in the next game.
it.
His
Isn't it on the players too?
but the time management's been horrible, and that's all been on him.
But
Throwing the challenge flag for no reason. It's been little stuff like that where
the
his
challenge
experience as a coach is hurting them.
you
They
can't
need what the Rangers just did because this is a young team. They need to bring in a veteran coach that knows how to win. He
that's
doesn't.
wrong.
He doesn't know how to win in the NFL. He knows
He doesn't know how to win. He won a national championship at Alabama.
as a special teams
He's in
coach.
the
He doesn't.
locker too. You're underrating the whole. You're being
As a head
ridiculous. You're,
coach, he
you're
doesn't know.
overreacting. This is not Ray Hanley. This is not Adam Gase. These are not people. He is not so bad. When you made a commitment to bring in a coach who didn't have previous head coaching experience, you knew there would be bumps in the road. Knew there would be a learning curve. Do you think Bill Belichick's a good coach?
Yes.
Cleveland fired him pretty soon. Was that the right decision? No. He said he was about to turn the corner. You got to give people a chance to at least get 3 years and learn, unless, I mean, at the end of the year, if they're 0-17 and nothing is improved, okay. After 3 games of the second game of the season where everyone coming into the season loved him, you're crazy. You're overreacting.
There's standard there when your team becomes a winning team, there's
Yeah,
standard.
but the history of the Giants sucking has nothing to do with him.
I know, but like
It has a
coming into
lot
the
to do with Dave
season though,
Gettleman.
coming into the season with the high expectations to win, and the
We're
Giants
the
just come out
ones
of
who had high expectations. The league did not.
no, the
Remember,
team,
we talked about this.
the
Oh,
franchise had high
every
expectations.
team walks out and expects they're going to have high expectations. You know, the ownership is the
What
one.
about Mara and Tish though? They had high expectations for this season.
Yeah, of course they did. They spent hundreds of millions of dollars, and they
Exactly.
were
And
told.
now
But if you look at it, they bear part of the responsibility because they hired Jerry Reese, who did a terrible job and kind of screwed Eli the whole time he was there because they didn't have a great team as soon as he took over. Gettleman has done a poor job of drafting. I think everyone thinks
Terrible job of drafting. Horrible.
Yeah.
Year after
This
year.
year, when Joe Judge and the guy that they used to work with, they brought in somebody else. All of a sudden, they changed their philosophy. They made trades. Kadarius Toney hasn't shown us anything yet.
But they're not putting him on the field, though. That's what makes me mad.
Because he's not prepared. He is not ready. And that's his fault because he didn't practice at all. You just said need spring training.
But you see what happens when he came on the field, though. He makes plays.
He made one play. He had 2 catches. Granted, his catch was great. It was a great move. It got me excited. That's Jason Garrett, too. Like, I feel like the Giants forced Joe Judge to take Jason Garrett because they said, you're a rookie coach. We want someone with experience, someone who knows the NFC East. The Cowboys always had a good offense. We now know the Cowboys had a good offense. Had nothing to do with Jason Garrett because his play calling is completely unoriginal.
Well, what they need to do is package Judge, Gettleman, and Garrett and send them out because it's not working. Nothing. You can't move on. How many more years can we go like this, though? They're terrible. This team is terrible, and they've been that same way for 4 years. It's the same thing every year. There's no changes except that they brought in a running quarterback over.
There's no changes. Did we just – let's go. Remember McAdoo? Great, huh? Shermer?
He wanted Mahomes. McAdoo wanted Mahomes.
Yeah, I told you that story. That has nothing to do with it. He went 11-5, went to the playoffs his first year, and then you turn on. But you're saying you want change. We keep changing, and the changes, the people they bring in are
But the right change, though. They're not making the right change because it's the same thing.
Go tell that to Cleveland Browns fans who did for years were waiting for the right lineup, and they completely rebuilt their team. The Colts, who went through that, all these teams are shooting for the same thing. It's not like they're not trying to do it. You act like they're just being lazy. The owners are spent under. Gettleman's got to go because he's made a lot of poor decisions. Joe Judge is not going anywhere unless they go winless.
Dave Gettleman has put them in this position
to put the system, especially when last year you played with no training camp and you played.
But you're saying Garrett should be gone, but he's on year 2 as well, and their offense is terrible.
But
Garrett's on year.
Garrett's play calling is hurting the team.
But he doesn't have assets though. When Shepard and Slayton's hurt, Barkley's not 100%.
But
the best wide receiver is Galladay.
How many times did they throw deep down the field? They threw one pass in the very beginning, and then they never threw down the field again. They 3rd and 4, they're calling draws. They are not aggressive at all in a league that is built on aggressive passing games and makes it really hard for defenders. You see passing interference all the time. Daniel Jones has shown that when he does throw the ball down the field, he's really good. The throw to C.J. Ford was incredible. They never do it again. And I know there's nervousness with an offensive line that's not very good that you can't drop back. But I think they're averaging like 5 yards of drop back. They got to push the ball down the field. They're not getting nothing in the running game from Saquon. He has had one run.
I'm so done with him. He has put a massive cost on the Giants' back because
it's not. I don't think it's his fault. It's Gettleman's fault for taking a running back at the second over.
Exactly. And Barkley comes here. He has a good first year. This is the 3rd year now. He's not good. He is not a good running back. All
right, we're gonna have to stop this because you're being crazy. Your time frame in your level of patience is just like your dad.
But we can't wait 10 years to win, though. This is the problem.
You can't wait 10 years. But if a guy blows out his knee and misses an entire season, and he has I think what do you have 1,800 yards his rookie season. It's pretty quick to give up on him.
My problem is the fact that, and I want to give Jones as much credit as I can because I think he's been the 2nd best player on this team since the start of this season. I think he really has. I think he's been
the best player,
2nd best performing player on their team. He's been outstanding, but this is where it's time to realize in year 3 what they're throwing out. Who doesn't matter who's the offensive coordinator. What they're throwing out with Jones' assets and what they're trying to do, might lead to some good and bad games, but it's not winning games. It's not the formula to win. And I don't want to blame the
Because the
guy because
play
he plays
calling,
well, but you
the
morale change. You need a changing
yeah,
of the guard.
yeah,
And
that's why you fired Jason Garrett. You're not changing the head coach again and replacing every single coach, every single strength coordinator. Bring in scouts that work with me. Bring in a front office that works with this. That is a massive overhaul. There is nobody looking at the Giants and saying there's culturally something wrong with them. They are headed in a good direction that way. They're Patrick Graham. They love as a defensive coordinator. They haven't had the best games that we expect from them earlier in the year. It's 3 games in. It sucks to be 0-3, but you need to take a breather. You're gonna have to start drinking.
yeah, but the difference is you're walking off the field on your third game, 0-3, losing to what I think is the worst team in the NFL.
I don't disagree with that. It is doom and gloom. Things suck right now, but you just can't blowtorch everyone. You blowtorch the head coach, and then we're going to be back in a head coach search, and then it's okay. Next year, we're waiting for the guy to put his system in place, and then here we go. It really happens in year 2, but in year 2 because this Daniel Jones wasn't their quarterback. Now we're searching for another quarterback and going through 3 years of waiting for a rookie to suck at quarterback. And all these other quarterbacks outside of the guy in the Chargers, like the great Tua, is not doing anything.
That's their problem, though. Don't draft a quarterback. Get a veteran. Bring in
They're
someone.
not just dropping off trees. When's the last time a veteran went on the open market?
I
That Jameis
that,
Winston is about it.
I seriously think that, honestly, if the Giants had Cam Newton right now, they would have a win. I'm not saying that's the answer, but they would.
That is the most Then you don't watch football because Cam
Are
Newton.
you serious? He's a game manager. He knows what to do.
Daniel Jones runs better, throws better than Cam Newton. Have you seen Cam Newton throw the ball last year?
Has Daniel Jones ever been to a Super Bowl? Playoff football?
That
Been under pressure? And
Yeah.
come through?
Okay. All right.
Pressure?
So, in your same comparison, should I go grab Phil Simms out of the locker room or out of the TV booth and put him out there? Cam Newton was a good quarterback. He is not anymore. You love the old veteran guy. The guy can't move. The Patriots did not want to start a rookie quarterback, but they realized this guy can't throw the ball and beat them anymore.
Yeah.
He's not. Let's just face it. Of all the NFL teams are out there trying to win a Super Bowl, they all have personnel people out there looking. If any one of them thought Cam Newton was going to be good enough to start, they would have called him.
Yeah.
There is team. The Miami Dolphins didn't call him yet, and they lost their quarterback to it for a couple of weeks. It would have been perfect to walk in and run that kind of offense.
Well, what breaks my heart now, looking back, is you're starting to see it because Jabril Peppers might be traded. Dexter Lawrence is not having a good
I don't
year.
know what was. I don't
and
know.
O'Shane Zimenez is not doing anything, and
He's not even playing. He's playing.
I'm starting to see the Odell Beckham Jr. trade unravel. And you have him. If you have him, he plays good on the. He played good on the Giants. You cannot. No one can disagree with that.
We're not talking about Odell Beckham Jr.
What could have been. If he's on the team right now, the Giants are good. It's true. With how he plays on the Giants, discipline or not, because
what did you do?
Tyreek Hill has
drinking all the time.
A terrible reputation off the field. Seems like a bad guy from what he's been accused of, and you could plenty of other guys. Jarvis Landry is a clown on the field. Like, so I'm tired of people being like, well, they got rid of him because he's a cancer in the locker room, whatever, blah blah blah. I'm just saying what's been with the Giants, how they've screwed them.
I don't care. Doesn't play for the Giants anymore. I don't care about him.
It's just mistakes of Gettleman, though. It's mistakes. It's another mistake of Gettleman.
No, everyone forced him to trade OBJ, and at the
after
time
they signed him, which was
it's a disaster. But he was forced out of town by the owner. Talked to him beforehand, so. Believe me, it was more than just that. He wasn't working here. Some people do better in a change of scenery. He missed all last season. He has not been an impact for Cleveland at all. So until he is, I don't even want to hear about him. He's not a Giant. He's not affecting. Cam Newton's not better.
The Giants need someone like when he came in the league that brings that.
Well, when you barely throw the ball, these explosive wide receivers.
The fans aren't into it. Like I saw 3rd and 2 yesterday, tie game. You don't really hear a sound. Like
No, but
it's boring. Like we need a morale changing move to wake up this franchise. And
I know, but there is no move. There is no.
so we're gonna be like this all year because if Atlanta's their worst team, they could go 0-17.
Then you don't watch the Giants anymore.
I might not watch them this week. I can't. I'm not. I don't want to watch them get blown out by the Saints.
This is a game they'll win by 10 points.
I hope, but it's not going to change.
Anyway, I can't talk about it anymore. It's frustrating me. Let's talk about the Yankees. There's 6 games left in the season. Yankees will definitely have the hardest schedule out of all of the teams involved. 3 against the Rays, 3 in Toronto. I think it's still 1-0. It's in commercial. I'm looking on my phone right now.
Yeah.
Red Sox, 3 against Baltimore, 3 against the Nationals. So a much easier schedule. The fact that they swept them in Boston was awesome this weekend. That was one of the better series in a long time. I think Giancarlo got a big Yankee moment. That grand slam was as good as it gets in baseball. I mean, the emotion from that, his play the whole weekend, really. Some weird games like DJ LeMay dropping a ball. What's his name in the outfield drop one too. That, and then to come back and win. So hopefully things are going good. I'm a little nervous about tonight coming off that win. It's still 1-0, top of the 3rd, top of the order. What's your thoughts on the Yankees?
I am absolutely and fully in love with Aaron Judge. He's by far the best player and the most clutch hitter in the MLB right now. The only case you can make is Vlad Guerrero Jr. beating him for the MVP. I don't think Ohtani has anything on Judge for the MVP.
Ohtani really slipped down the stretch.
Yeah, and I think you can't discredit what he did in the first half, but the second half is just not what other players have been doing, like Guerrero and Judge. So
he still has the 2 positions over 1, which is a pretty big advantage.
Yeah, I can't. I'm not trying to dog on Ohtani right now, but I can't remember the last time he's hit a home run, and that's been his really big kind of.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question.
But Judge and Stanton do it again, and this is what we've been waiting to see when they've been healthy, and they need to be re-signed. And if the team gets teared up at the end of the year, you build with them and Cole. And it's a great Bronxy tale. I don't know if you heard about the turtle Bronxy. That's now there. That traveled to Boston with them. That's their new rallying cry, which I like that because all these teams have stupid traditions. So like if people want to make fun of it, make fun of it.
There's some bad gimmicks out there.
But if this is what the Yankees feel like, if they get connection with the turtle or what, I don't. It sounds stupid, but you know what? It's good that they found something to kind of go off of. I say you just got to win 2 out of 3 in Toronto and 2 out of 3 in Tampa Bay. You'll be in the playoffs. If you really want to win home, get the home field, I think you just got to get 5 out of 6. 5 out of 6 should get the job done because
5 out of 6, I agree.
Boston has to win 6 games. Boston has to win all 6 to beat the Yankees. And I'm not out of 6 games, Boston could slip up twice. So the Yankees, you just look for a 4-2 end of the year and go from there.
Toronto series is the big one, and to see if the Rays they're not going to blow up their bullpen right before the playoffs. So we'll see what the Rays, what kind of roster they do. I do want to read this to you though. Ohtani in his last start against the Mariners threw 7 innings, 1 run, 10 strikeouts, no walks, ERA at 3.18. He has 156 strikeouts. He's batting .258 with 45 home runs and 24 stolen bases. It's pretty good.
It is, but at the end of the day, what you're paying attention to is a rivalry game where Aaron Judge comes up with one of the clutchest hits of a team's season to almost push them into almost a certain playoff appearance.
If they could get in the playoffs,
in the mix, and they're not even in the mix. So like that, it's impressive. It is impressive.
No, I agree. Them not, but
it's a little different.
Mix is huge, and the fact that Judge has been so clutch down here,
and they're playing good teams. Right, I'm not saying Seattle's bad, but with how Judge comes up in that scenario, 1-2, he doesn't have good career numbers against Ottavino. Yeah, he gets a little help, but people could say, well, that's the only reason it happened, but then he still has to come through on the
No.
next pitch.
Those
Like,
are
he
silly
still
things
has
to
to do
say because that's what happens. It
exactly.
happens.
And
It happens to both sides. The amount of bad calls that have been happening, and
Joe West is a terrible umpire. Let's just get that straight. He should retire. He's terrible.
I think he is retiring. I think this is his last year. I think somebody said that on the broadcast. Yeah,
but
he's
yeah,
not
I
good.
think the Yankees just stay afloat, work your way to get Cole into the wild card. Hopefully, get good starting pitching, and they should be fine. Severino looks good. Chapman has finally not overheating people, but finally back to like his last 3 starts. Haven't been like he hasn't been in jams with runners in scoring position. That's a positive. I don't know how Chad Green's doing. I know
He looked good the
Joella
other
does.
night, but I don't feel good about him. He
I feel
doesn't
like
look like his dominating self. I mean, I think he threw one foul ball that's still coming down, but then got the guys on strike. He hasn't. He's not the guy that we want right now.
Your big guy in the postseason, your big bullpen guys are going to be Severino, Peralta, Chapman. Wandy Peralta has been
Severino comes into the Yankees and like plays a role where he pitches multiple innings or in multiple games. Hopefully, if it's multiple games, they're probably getting crushed. But if he comes in and plays a key role, that would be some story.
Guess who just homered to right field?
Judge? Mm-hmm. Look at my delay is so bad. He's still at the plate.
366. I mean, but to cap off the Yankees segment, let's see this. Might be 366 is those. Okay. I got some good wood on that. But see, that's
the timing there.
Yeah, I mean, but to cap off the Yankees segment is to give a little positivity because I have been a little pessimistic to start this day off, or this episode off. The Yankees, this is the way you can really win a World Series. You look at how the Nationals did it from the home wild card spot in 2019.
Got to get hot.
This is how the Yankees do it. You just get hot into the playoffs.
When Eli, got to get hot.
Exactly. You look at it's net like what people don't understand, and what I've learned from watching the Yankees last couple of years is that the best team doesn't always win. And I know that's so cliche, but the Yankees had 100 something wins, and no, the Astros had like over 103 wins a couple years ago, and they lost to a wild card team in the World Series. So this is the right year to do it. So to leave some optimism there as we move into the Rangers, which I don't know, they got blown out in their first preseason game, but I don't really care.
They got the Bruins tonight in preseason. Yeah,
I'm so excited for Ryan Reeves.
All right on that?
Oh, I didn't see. I do think we have to make an important note. I want to hear from you. Who do you think? And we've talked about this a lot on this podcast. Who do you think deserves to earn this role and would play well in the captaincy role for the Rangers? Because they have to pick a captain. It's a young team. You need someone to be a direct leader, and you can have also like people backing him up. But I think this is a clear and obvious thing from what the players on the team want and from what the fans want. I know it doesn't mean what the fans want, but the fans and the players are obviously.
I don't care what the fans want.
And I think the organization's not going to give it to him, and it's going to break my heart. But
is this another speech for Kreider?
Of course it is. The players want him. The players on this team want him. Kreider, Zibanejad, the leaders on this team look up to Kreider. Trouba can make that. I understand that he could be the physical aggressiveness of the team, but the captain doesn't always have to be that.
Who these players are that you're speaking to? Getting the inside gossip from.
I can tell you right now for sure, Mika Zibanejad and Artemi Panarin would put Kreider, and I'm sure Fox would too. I mean, the poll out there, it seems to be that the captaincy is moving between Trouba, Fox, Panarin, Zibanejad, and Kreider. That's who it seems to be shifting around.
Zibanejad not knowing their locker room personalities.
I like that. I would choose Zibanejad over Trouba too, because you don't always need a vocal.
I would probably vote for Panarin if he was English speaking, and just because he's got that energy and that passion, but he seems to yield to other players, and maybe that's because,
yeah,
it's a little hard.
I mean, you look
Fox,
at
I wonder if we all know he's an awesome hockey player, but
he's going to win the Norris again. It's happening.
But what is he, 21? Or he's kind of young to be the captain of.
He is young. He hasn't earned his stripes yet. He hasn't earned that yet.
Like
he's very good. But what happened?
I don't like the way Giancarlo walked off the field there.
Hurt or like just
it's like hurt. It looked a little weird. You never know with these guys.
I think really what's this? Anthony Botetto scores the first goal of the Rangers preseason. I like that guy. But positive outlook. This is what I don't want to see from the Rangers, like the Giants have given us, is this false hope. The Rangers did it last year.
That's what we are.
With a trash start. I want to see the Rangers
We're false
fly out of the gate, and there's no reason they shouldn't. And Ryan Reeves made my favorite comment I've ever heard out of any of my teams, any player, in any sport. He said, people were like, "Are the Rangers a contending team for the?" They asked him, Ryan. They said to Ryan Reeves, "Are the Rangers a contending team for the Cup?" He's like, "Of course we are, because I wouldn't be here if they weren't."
Yeah, well,
that is awesome, and I'm telling you,
it sounds awesome, but he's also speaking to reporters. So what are you going to say?
This team's not that young anymore.
No, believe me, we're all fans. We all want to win, but like in every city in the country, the same people are going, "We're definitely winning this year. There's no way it happened."
But
and then
98%
of us
rounding
are
the corner.
disappointed.
This is the rounding of the corner.
The Rangers, this is a critical. The Rangers are in the same spot as the Giants. Like they're at that point where we think they're turning the corner.
Yeah,
but
the
Giants just had a car wreck on it.
I don't have
faith. Let's hope the Rangers don't have it.
I mean, the difference between the Rangers and the Giants is what really changed the Rangers' future was signing like one of the top players in the league. Like the Rangers have so much offense. Like it gives me goosebumps talking about it. I'm so excited.
Are a place people want to play for.
Exactly. I'm so excited. I'm excited for the Knicks, but like whatever. Like basketball regular season. But the basketball regular season, I feel like is like a little less important than hockey regular season, because I feel even bad basketball teams make it.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams that make it for sure. But now Ion's hurt.
No,
leaving the game.
Whatever. Herman, next man up.
But with
harp on it. Yeah.
And what were we talking about again? No, I lost it. Oh, with basketball, it's just been so bad for so long.
That's the best
last year made it. Seeing the Garden light up was so exciting, and now getting the Rangers fans, they announced Lundqvist's retirement day. But yeah, it's, the Garden. There's nothing like the Garden. It's fun to get back. Like if the Knicks play like they did last year, I'll certainly be really into it again, and it will be fun to watch.
Yeah. Good luck for the Rangers this year. Now we're going to talk a little bit about college football. We have only like 10, 15 minutes left. I'm
going to leave this college football too, because I know just good for those of you who don't know, Matty's older brother goes to Clemson. His sister goes to South Carolina. His mother and uncle went to Boston College, who look great, by the way.
Who's the best team in the ACC right now?
Their offense looked great, but Matty had a rough weekend in college football. So, Matty, thoughts?
It's a great life lesson in sports, and it's one I haven't been able to experience that much. I like Clemson, obviously. Fine, I'll say I love Clemson. I always say to my dad, I was like, I want to see championships, and I don't understand why none of my teams give it to me. And he says, he's like, what? Well, Clemson, but they're not one of my New York teams. They don't have that special of a place in my heart. But it's a life lesson, and it's a changing of the guard in college football. And I hate to say it, it's good for college football that if Clemson takes a break from being a top 10 team, top 5 team for a couple years. And frankly,
we could use Ohio State and Alabama to do it too.
You're seeing the changing in the guard. This is the changing of the guard this year, except for Bama, and they are going to pay their turn. Just wait. Something's going to go wrong. We all know what happens.
Well, as soon as Saban leaves, it will fall apart eventually.
Yeah, but Clemson shouldn't be embarrassed. They shouldn't. be embarrassed about
Embarrassed? That'd be ridiculous. You guys are overreacting. They've lost 2
No,
games.
they shouldn't be embarrassed, and they should not, because look, it's not their year. They will not win the national championship.
No,
They
but
should
only one team does. There's over 100
yeah,
college teams.
they should walk out of this feeling glad, because
Go win the
we're taking
ACC. That's
trash.
what they should be saying.
Yeah, and they're taking trash from other teams. And I could tell you one thing right now. I tell you what, NC State doesn't have 2 national championships in the last 6 years. So
Well, as a Clemson fan, you shouldn't care at all. Nobody can talk trash to
exactly.
Alabama's the only fan who can in the entire country that has had better fortune than a Clemson fan. So there's nothing to be
And
upset or worried about.
I think it started last year, and it all good things in sports must come to an end. It always does. It always comes to an
It's on
end.
the chart.
Like the Yankees winning 3-4 straight World Series in late '90s, early 2000s. It comes to
Well, they had won a World Series every decade until last decade.
Exactly, and the Yankees are frankly due. And some people who have never won, I don't care about you. The Yankees are due, but it's good for college football. I don't like seeing it, but you know what? You could be unhappy and stuff, but you look at teams like Boston College who've never won a national championship. It's good. I would like to see a team like Iowa win the national championship this year. That would be perfect for college football.
It would be great for college football. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think it would be.
You need a couple years away from Bama, Ohio State, Clemson, and Oklahoma. And Oklahoma's not good. And I'm going to point out one thing, because I know Clemson doesn't deserve to be in the top 10, clearly. But there is a large amount of bias towards the Big 12 and the SEC, because Clemson lost by
teams.
Exactly. And Clemson lost by 7 points to a top 2 team in the country. They dropped 3 spots. Oklahoma at home, a very offensive program, beats an unranked West Virginia team by 3 points. Frankly, a game they should have lost. They moved back 2 points. That's ridiculous.
I appreciate your commentary, but you can't. Clemson deserves to be down.
No, they do. I'm just saying, it's there's a certain bias, and you see these teams, and the teams that aren't getting the bias this year are Ohio State and Clemson. Because if I'm being honest with you, I don't think Ohio State deserves to be out of the top 10. I'm glad they were out of the top 5. But losing to Oregon is not embarrassing. That shouldn't be. You drop 6 spots.
No, but we also shouldn't be ranking teams this early in the season, because you're guessing. You don't know who's who. So it takes a while for it to settle in. Who you are ranked now is just a ballpark from the media. Check in 6-7 weeks down the road, and then you'll get a good idea who's who. I was disappointed Arkansas lost this week, despite.
No, they won.
Sorry, I was saying it backwards. I picked against them, but Arkansas winning is
I picked that one.
You did pick that one. I think that's the best story. If a team like that, with an offensive line coach now at the helm of a team he's wished to coach for his whole life, if Arkansas could keep rolling, it's the SEC, and I don't know if they could survive a whole season, but it's already great to watch, and that's a team that I'll be rooting for to win.
Oh, it's the best.
My LSU Tigers look not good this year.
It's the best, and I had a great opportunity to go to SEC Nation, which is they pick a game every week, and they picked the one in South Carolina. I stood about 2 feet away from Marty Smith, if anyone knows who that is, very well known in college football. I had a very close view of Tim Tebow, Paul Feinbaum. It was really cool. Tebow's a really buff guy. You'd never expect to see how big he is. And I hate people.
What are you talking about? He's a tight end. He's huge.
I don't like people who make fun of him, because most people in life aren't doers like what he does. He tried, and you can't. I give you that. I don't like.
There's some other reasons why he gets made fun of, which is a topic for when we're a little older.
Yeah. Well, I should look that up. But
no.
Capo just scored a second goal. Rangers up 2-0. But
all right. Well, let's leave that on that positive note then. Yeah. Clemson's going to turn around. It's not gloom and doom.
No, it's okay though. What I've accepted.
It's fine. Go out and win the ACC. Don't lose to BC, otherwise your house is going to be
They
funny.
could very, very easily lose that game. because
BC's
Boston College
offensive
plays them
line
well.
looked good.
They play
There's some
Clemson
random
well.
ACC teams looking pretty decent this year, and then
I
some
don't
teams
know
that
why
were
they're
supposed to be.
ranked.
It's like all flipped though. All the teams that were supposed to be good are not doing well.
It's
Anyway,
such
don't let it stress you. We've got
no.
the
It's
Yankees.
great proof to show that college football needs to extend the college football playoff. That's what we've learned is that there's so many good teams, and it's not fair that a team like Arkansas might get left out of.
Yeah.
Off
Well,
or-
Arkansas if they win, they'll be in because they're in the SEC, so they're fine.
yeah.
But like you said, there's teams like Cincinnati may have a great season and have no shot at getting there.
Mhm. Yeah.
But with that, let's be positive. Clem's going to win
Yeah.
next week, right? Giants are going to upset the Saints and shock the world on 500 yards passing. To Evan Ingram's going to catch 3 touchdowns. It's all going to be great, and the Yankees are going to win the final 6, right?
Yeah. But it's gonna be positive. We'll probably do picks this week. I don't have anything on the weekend. We'll have our picks out hopefully in live video because
I will be in Chicago this weekend for the Bears game against Detroit,
I
so
hope
we
they
might
don't lose.
do. Hey!
I know. I'm being positive.
You
I hope
were
they don't
you
lose.
were the favorite nephew. It could be trouble. Careful.
I really wanted to.
Anyway,
I wanted to
we're
pick
going to be
the
in
Bears.
Chicago, so we'll try to put the picks up on our Instagram for anyone. If we can't get to the show, we'll try to get to another show this week. But we both got jobs, right? So someone sponsor us.
Yep. Exactly.
All right, Matty.
But until next time, guys. See ya.
See you later.